Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. But if you're new here, my name's Tyler and I just do consistent content on all things related to hockey in the NHL overall. And boy oh boy was I looking at covering this topic. I made the thumbnail for this video 4 days ago, but here we go. Taylor Hall trade rumors. Let's get right into it. As we know, Darren Dreger for TSN came out yesterday in his podcast linking Taylor Hall to the Montreal Canadiens. Like so many other reporters through TSN, SN, and individual reporters from the Montreal Canadiens have done over the past year. As we know, there was plenty of speculation that the Habs would possibly consider trading for Taylor Hall before he was eventually dealt from the New Jersey Devils to the Arizona Coyotes. And everything has went dwindling down when it comes to this Arizona Coyotes team and franchise overall. A couple months ago, their GM stepped down, and I think that went hand in hand with their scouting dilemma, of course, in which the NHL penalized this Arizona Coyotes team to not having certain draft picks for this and next year, which has led them in a very tough situation where they may very well go into a fire sale, possibly back into a rebuild after really not even finishing the last one that they started over this past decade. It's really unfortunate, but they did at the end of the day put themselves in this situation. And now the Coyotes have, of course, made one offer for Taylor Hall to re-sign him possibly, but they lowballed him big time. They offered him, I believe, around $7 million. I'm not sure how long the term was, but Taylor Hall is expected to make anywhere between $9 and $11 million in the free market. So there's no way in heck he's taking that deal. Obviously, he didn't. And they, of course, made a more recent offer to him, more of a desperate offer to try to land him to stay in Arizona. But all indication and all reports I've seen is that he's not going to do that. He's going to hit free agency. And what has Taylor Hall looked for in hitting the market? He has openly said he's willing to take somewhat of a pay cut for his next big contract to go to a team in which he knows he's going to win with. Now, there are two teams that really come to mind when you look at the situation. You look at of course, the Colorado Avalanche, in which the Avalanche situation is interesting because the Avs, of course, they have plenty of cap space like the Montreal Canadiens would be able to handle his cap hit. But is that the direction that Taylor Hall wants to go in with the Avs, who are a very deep roster offensively, where he obviously wouldn't be the star? I don't think that would phase him, but he would be in a more limited role in some aspects given how deep they are already. And he would be, in my mind, a better situation to possibly sign a bridge deal or a 3-year deal, which I think multiple free agents we may see ponder in this year's market, given the fact that there is a flat cap now. So for them to exceed another long-term contract for them, for the biggest contract in their careers for the remainder of their career, would probably be better in 2 or 3 years from now. So if Hall did something like that with the Avs, would have immediate playing time, having deep playoff runs, possibly Stanley Cup victory or victories with the Avs in these next 2 to 3 years, that would be a possible smart move for him. I'm not sure if he's really thinking about that, but that is something to consider. But when you look at a more realistic option, in my opinion, probably the most best fit when it comes to Taylor Hall, that is the Montreal Canadiens. As I mentioned, they have been connected to Hall over the past year plus, and it's really good looking back that Marc Bergevin never made a trade to try to acquire him as a pending free agent. It's good that he didn't do that, knowing that he can probably get him as a free agent. Now, why would Hall be such a good fit for the Montreal Canadiens? Well, let's look at the Canadian side of things. They have the cap. They have the cap space. They have guys that are going to be coming off the books this year. And yes, Marc Bergevin still has plenty of decisions that he needs to make. He needs to figure out what to do with Max Domi, Philip Deneau, possibly Jeff Petrie. The list goes on and on with some of the veterans in this lineup, with Max Domi's contract situation really not being happy in his situation. Montreal playing on the wing when he prefers to play center. And of course, with the depth with the likes of Jesperi Kotkaniemi and Nick Suzuki has led a bigger problem for not just Domi, but Philip Deneau as well. So they may very well both be on their way out of Montreal. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. I even did a video on it yesterday, as they could possibly be connected to the New York Rangers. So if you're interested in that, make sure you check it out after this video. But Marc Bergevin has plenty of moves that he still needs to figure out. But nonetheless, this Canadiens team definitely impressed in this year's playoffs. A team that wasn't supposed to make the playoffs makes it in the expanded format, does great, sweeps the Pittsburgh Penguins in dramatic fashion, and then has a strong playoff run against the Philadelphia Flyers, in which they lose that round, but it was still impressive nonetheless. And it just shows what this team is capable of with the youth in this roster that is only going to continue to get better. The Montreal Canadiens have one of the best prospect pools in all of the NHL, top 5 easily, with the emergence of Cole Caulfield, who will surely be in the lineup in a couple of years. If not, he won't be next year, definitely in a couple of years in my opinion. And then Ryan Poehling, if he can put it all together, and other guys. And that defensive prospect pool led by the likes of Alexander Romanov, who was really looking like a stud. And of course, you have the veterans in this lineup already, whether it be the likes of Jonathan Drouin, who will finally be healthy again after being hurt this past season, other guys in this lineup too. A lot can happen with this Habs team. I think this is only the beginning of them having more consistent playoff runs, and they're in kind of not really sure what direction they're going in, rebuild slash retool, kind of similar to the Rangers in a sense, but they have a very promising future, and I won't be surprised if they possibly make the playoffs again this year. They are a very pesky team, and with the emergence of Nick Suzuki, especially, who had 40 points in his rookie year, look great in playoffs. Jesperi Kotkaniemi is really looking like the guy that they originally drafted just a couple years ago with that top 3 pick. So there's a lot of promise with this Montreal Canadiens team, and I think Taylor Hall would be a perfect fit, because what has been the biggest issue for the Montreal Canadiens for the past decade, it's been scoring. It's been having that number 1 guy to bank on, and Taylor Hall would be just that. Taylor Hall, 28 years old, is in the prime of his career most likely, 6'1", 205 pounder, such an amazing player. He's the sole reason why I started following the Edmonton Oilers, because I picked a Western Conference team to follow back when even before he was drafted, knowing he would go to the Oilers when they got the first overall pick. So I chose Edmonton, and I was really mad when they traded Hall, of course, in that terrible Larson trade 1-for-1. But nonetheless, Hall is just such a flashy player, has electric speed, one of the fastest guys in the game, can really shoot the puck, and has superb playmaking ability. But it's a matter of how consistent will he be. Hall, of course, this past season, splitting time between the Devils and the Arizona Coyotes, had 52 points in 65 games, including 16 goals and 36 assists. So not bad at all, but definitely not the numbers he put up just 2 years ago, and his peak year, if you will, where he had a Hart winning season. He had 93 total points, had 39 goals, and overall had 54 assists too. He was ridiculous, helped lead the New Jersey Devils to a playoff berth. But do I think Taylor Hall will ever hit 93 points again? I honestly don't. I think he will probably loom around 70 to 80 points for the remainder of his career, as long as he be consistent and healthy, between 25 and 30 goals plus. But he's definitely would be the biggest piece for this Montreal Canadiens team to rally around their youth and some of the veterans in this lineup, and definitely help them as they continue this kind of retool slash rebuild with this prospect pool emerging. Like I said, it is filled with so much talent. It is showing already with the guys that are currently in this lineup, and is only going to get better, I assure you, Montreal Canadiens fans. So that really leads the direction of, would this be a good fit? I think it would be a great fit. Like I said, the Habs need that go-to guy. Taylor Hall would be that go-to guy. They can handle the cap hit, especially for a long-term contract. If it's say 7 or 8 years, will they definitely overpay? Probably, but at the right expense, in my opinion. I think having a guy like him to really lead them, and knowing what it's like to be able to handle this kind of market on a original 6 team, even though this would be his first time, he knows what it takes to play in Canada. Of course, being from Canada, playing in juniors in Canada, all those things, playing with the Edmonton Oilers. He knows what it's like handling that media and press like he did with the Oilers. Not so much like when he was with the Arizona Coyotes and Devils, but he knows what it takes to handle a big market, especially like Montreal, and I think he would do just that and do just fine. I think he would really look good in a Montreal Canadiens sweater, and while it is indefinite that he would go to the Habs or even hit free agency, all indication, especially over these past couple of weeks, is proving more and more otherwise that is definitely in his favor to go to Montreal. So if you're a fan of the Habs, let me know in the comments below. Would you love to see Taylor Hall in a Montreal Canadiens uniform, or do you think it would be too much to bring in a guy like him cap-wise? Let me know all your thoughts. But getting a little bit more into the situation, as I mentioned, Hall is in a win now stage, and I think that when it comes to the Canadiens, yes, they aren't on the same level by the Avalanche as any means, but at the end of the day, I think Taylor Hall is going to want to go to a team where he knows he can finish the remainder of his career, not a team where he would say possibly sign a bridge deal for just the experience of winning and then banking out on a big payday, because the cap is going to be flat, as I mentioned, for a couple more years most likely, and probably by 2 or 3 years from now it'll definitely be risen up a couple mil at least. So that is definitely going to be more appealing to some of the bigger fish heading this year's market, knowing that they could still be in their prime by that time. You see similar situations with a lot of players that are in their RFA deals still signing maybe 4 or 5 year deals, so they would still be in their prime by the time that's done, and then they would hit the market. So we'll see what happens there, but Taylor Hall really would be a perfect fit for the Montreal Canadiens, in my opinion. It just makes too much sense. On that left side, yes, they are a little deep. They have the likes of Thomas Tatar, who's looked very strong. They have Jonathan Drouin, who has been solid when healthy, but it's just a matter of being healthy with him. Of course, him playing it all together. Artturi Lehkonen has been solid at times, a little streaky at times also, and Paul Byron. So it leaves you wondering, would they make any moves on that left side too if they throw Hall on his natural side of being a left wing? I'm not sure. I definitely think they would if they were to go for Taylor Hall, and all indication states that that is very well going to happen. And I'm really excited to see what happens with these Taylor Hall sweepstakes, regardless of where he goes, because I think he's definitely going to come out with the right decision at the end. But remember, Habs fans, if you go for a guy like Taylor Hall, this is a contract that is definitely not going to look great at the end of it, more than likely. But what is in your favor is the fact that you have such a young team, a young core group. Marc Bergevin is figuring things out, and he has made some very solid moves, including that Jake Allen move recently. Perfect idea to get them on the salary dump, to really give up nothing but a 3rd round pick and that 7th round pick. That was so smart. But Carey Price is still in the prime of his career. It was evident in how he played in this past year's playoffs, especially. He is in a win now stage. This team is in a win now stage, led by their captain Shea Weber. He can still get it done. He has plenty of years left on his contract, but they don't got to worry about that right now. I think the Habs are going to continue to be pesky and make playoffs over these next 4 or 5 years, and Taylor Hall could surely lead the way and be the biggest name in Montreal offensive wise in quite some time. So let me know all your thoughts and comments below, guys. I would love to hear it. And if you haven't checked out my previous videos, make sure you do right down here. I have more trade rumor videos and series reviews videos regarding the playoffs. I think you would enjoy those if you like this. Thank you all so much for the love and appreciation thus far, guys. It means so much to me. Check out my previous trade rumor videos, especially. I really think you enjoy those ones, especially regarding the Habs and the Rangers, and Patrick Laine with Carolina Hurricanes and the Pittsburgh Penguins goalie conundrum, among other things. I think you would really like them if you like this one. But hit like, hit subscribe if you like this kind of hockey content. Help us reach 1K, because once I get there, I can start doing live streams on various things regarding live hockey commentary, doing play-by-play announcement, or just giving you my genuine thoughts on a lot of things, doing Q&As and stuff like that. I think that would be a lot of fun, and we are so close there. We're just about at 600 subs, which is amazing. I can't believe we've gotten this far already. It has been such a great summer, and I have all of you to thank for it. But make sure you hit those buttons if you like this kind of hockey content, guys, and I'll be back very, very soon.